Hey everyone, what's going on? Only it's me, Pete here, and I'm coming at you with a video about the 15th anniversary of the Xbox. Yeah, it's been 15 years though already, and today on Twitter I was just going crazy making a bunch of tweets about the 15th anniversary of the Xbox, and I'm like, you know what, before I get Twitter banned, I think I'm just going to make a vlog about it, because I decided I have so much to say about the original Xbox. I didn't know how much this console and brand really meant to me until I started tweeting a lot. So yeah, I just decided to roll it all up into one video, and well, here we go, the one video. So I'll start from the top because, like I said, this is the 15 years of Xbox, and I wanted one from the very beginning. So the first thing I remember about the Xbox, and keep in mind, I was like 8 years old when it came out, and 7 when all the buzz was happening about it in 2001. So I wasn't exactly an old gamer with this. I was fairly young, and I grew up basically only on Nintendo consoles. So this was all very new to me. I was a PC gamer though back then. Diablo 2. But anyways, so the original Xbox, like the marketing for it, I remember getting a pamphlet at maybe a GameStop, an EB Games, something like that, and it was the 100 uses you could have for the Xbox hardware. And it was so weird and yet so funny to 8-year-old me. It was like, you can use your Xbox as a drink coaster. You can use it as a booster seat. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like, I've never seen marketing like this before. I wasn't really around when the 16-bit wars were going on. So all of this, I was just taking all this in. But, other than the jokes, I saw on there Halo. And I mean, that was the big game that was advertised with the Xbox. The game that, was really pushed with it. And that was the game I really wanted. But I keep on bringing up my age for a reason. I couldn't play Halo. That was an M-rated game. And I mentioned that because I think it's T now. But it was M back in the day, and that meant I could not play it. But I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I mean, I'm going to go through a lot of the Xbox. But yeah, I couldn't actually play that. So once I found that out, I'm like, well, there's some other exclusives I'm interested in. Dead or Alive 3 was at launch. Fusion Frenzy was there. I didn't know what that was back then, though, so I wasn't really pushing that. There was a racing game. I want to say it was Project Gotham Racing. It could have been Burnout. I know both of those were really early racing games on the platform, but there was just a lot of hype around this one. And I looked at the specs. Now, little kid me didn't know much, but some of the adults in my life that knew more about gaming hardware and stuff, they were like, "This thing's a gaming PC. It's incredible. Like the graphics thing can push out." So I'm like, okay, maybe, but at the end of the day, it was way too expensive. I didn't get it that year or that holiday season because I didn't have the money for it. Really wanted one. Really watched a lot of stuff about it on TV. Obviously, there wasn't YouTube or anything or any way to really get informed about the console or what was coming out on it. But I used to go on game FAQs and stuff a lot back then, so I kind of got the feel for it through forums and stuff like that. So how did I actually get this Xbox? That's a story in and of itself. So my dad actually got me Spider-Man the movie for PC. Now this was a game I really wanted. I loved Spider-Man back then, and seeing that the movie actually got its own game, that was like the number one game I wanted. Like I had to have this game. So I eventually got it for PC, but we took it home, and the PC wouldn't run Spider-Man the movie. Our computer would not run it. Now this is a computer that I know ran Diablo 2 without the cutscenes and stuff, so it wasn't a good computer, I know, but it was the family computer, and it wasn't really meant for gaming, so we couldn't run it. I remember my dad got a laptop from his work, and we tried to run it on that, and it actually did install on there, but it wouldn't boot up. So obviously I was devastated. I had this Spider-Man PC box sitting by our computer, and I couldn't play it. And I was pretty sad about that. I'm not gonna lie. That was really the first game I've ever gotten that I couldn't play because literally nothing to do with my disability. I couldn't play it. I didn't have the hardware. So my dad was looking into it a bit, and he found out that Xbox It was on the Xbox that I've been wanting for a few months, and there were a few additional levels on the Xbox. Kraken, if you know him, I think that's how you pronounce it anyways. The Hunter dude, the bad guy from Spider-Man. There were two exclusive levels surrounding that character, exclusive to Xbox. So my dad's like, surprised me. I had no idea. I just thought, well, guess I'm not playing Spider-Man. But he surprised me and actually got me the original Xbox. And this had to be probably around March or April. I looked up the release date of the original Spider-Man, and it was April. So I guess it was pretty much April when I got the console, and like late April. And I loved it, but there was a problem. So the Duke controller on the Xbox. Let's talk about the Duke controller. If I could hold stuff up, I would definitely be holding one of these up right now. It was this huge controller, and I could not hold it. My toes were way too short, I guess you could say, and it was really hard for me to reach around anything. The right stick felt like it was just way too far down. I could not reach that. The sticks felt very nice, though, I will give it that. But I could barely play the game. Because with Spider-Man, you had to hold down, I think, the right trigger to do a lot of the web stuff. Like hold down right trigger, hit A or X or Y. And this was all a lot for me to do, with what I was given, small toes. So I'm like, I have no idea what to do. But my dad, he saw that in Japan, they actually released a smaller Xbox controller for that market. They did some Microsoft, I guess, did some market research, found out, hey, the Duke controller in Japan's not really going to fly. So they made this smaller version called the S controller. So my dad very quickly got me one of those, and that was perfect. I can't tell you what a godsend this controller was, because I was coming to this console pretty much from the Nintendo 64, and that controller was very difficult for me to grip. And I know, like, people complaining about that controller, I know you only grip two of the three prongs at any given time. Always the right one, then depending on the game, either the center or the left one. But for me, just overall, moving around the controller with my feet has always been a nightmare. But anyways, this S controller was amazing, great, perfect, and I could play Spider-Man. I was up and running, playing Spider-Man on probably the best platform it was released on. I mean, I know now I have, I still have my original Xbox hooked up, and it does output like native 480p, which I'm not really sure if any of the other consoles could do. And of course, the two exclusive levels, basically, guaranteed makes it the best version. But yeah, I just had a blast playing that. And then what another game I got near launch was a game called Nightcaster. I don't know who remembers this game. Probably nobody. But I got it because I was into Harry Potter, and it was about a sorcerer that went through the various lands and did stuff. And I remember it being very difficult. Like, you know how people say Ninja Gaiden's like the hardest game of all time or whatever? That was Nightcaster for me. I think I could only get to the second level. I don't know if I didn't understand an upgrading system. I need to track it down because I probably had not played it since like 2004. It was actually like one of the first games I traded in because I just couldn't get past it. I remember you could change your cape and that did different stuff, so I really liked that. But yeah, Spider-Man and Nightcaster. And that leads me to like the next thing that happened. So this is the one and only time I've ever gotten to do this, but apparently Blockbuster had a deal during the first year the Xbox launched, and I guess maybe all the time, I'm not really sure, where you could get like a subscription to Blockbuster, and you could rent as many games as you wanted in a period of time. So my parents again surprised me and got me like a 3-month subscription to Blockbuster, and I could rent as many Xbox games as I wanted. I have never been able to do this with any other console or any other time in my life, but back then I could do it, and man, did I have a blast. So, my first few rents I remember. My first rent was actually Halo. I know it's rated M, but somehow I convinced someone, I think it was one of my siblings, I said, go get me Halo, please, I have to play it. And I did. And what's funny is when I first played it, I didn't like it. It was so different from GoldenEye. and some of the older FPSs I played, like the two weapon system, kind of how you moved. This is very strange explaining now that I've been playing FPS for a long time, and a lot of games have copied Halo, that control scheme, but the controls were weird, man. Like it was not anything. It was nothing like I was used to, and I got lost. I couldn't beat the Pillar of Autumn. I don't know why. I could not find an exit to that level. It was so weird. This is so weird explaining because it's not that complex of a game. But initially, yeah, I couldn't beat it. Now later, my older brother actually did pick up Halo and Halo 2, and we went through co-op on the high difficulties, and I had a lot of fun then. And it's seriously one of my favorite Xbox games now. But it was very funny that the first run-in with the game, I loved it. I loved every second of fighting aliens, but the problem was I couldn't find out what to do after you fought the aliens. But the thing is, on that game, there was a demo. Actually, on a bunch of games, there were demos. If you didn't know, a lot of the early Xbox games, I think, interconnected themselves by having demos of the other games. Cool stuff. And I played a demo for Fusion Frenzy. Or actually, my sister did. Is I walked into the room one night and like, oh hey, what are you playing? I don't remember that game. And she's like, oh, it's Fusion Frenzy. It's just some party game. It's on your Halo game. I'm like, oh okay, let's sit down and play. I loved it. This was like Mario Party if the mini games looked amazing and were actually competitive. I couldn't believe how good this demo was, and I think we ran through that demo at least 20 times during the rental of Halo. Yeah, rent Halo, play Fusion Frenzy. That's what happened. But since Fusion Frenzy was the launch game as well, we were able to pick that up, like the next week or whatever, and that quickly became our favorite launch game. We played that game so much. That was the one game I could convince my friends that were playing PlayStation or Nintendo. Because keep in mind, I was like the only kid with an Xbox, with the big push for Xbox Live and M-rated games, and more like, it was targeted towards older teenagers and adults, not really kids. But still, I was the guy with the Xbox in the class, and Fusion Frenzy was the one game I could convince anyone that it was a solid platform. And man, did I play that game so many hours. Twisted System. Any of the ones where you're in the ball, in that giant ball, there were like 5 levels with that or something. There are a few like ice skating ones or ice hockey ones. Very fun game. I really, really would like to see that game get a remaster. People ask me what game I want to be remastered on the Xbox One or whatever. Jet Set Radio Future's up there, alright? Fusion Frenzy should be up there too. Very fun party game. I'd love to see it happen. But so yeah, we got that launch game, and I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Burnout, that was a fun one I got early on. A baseball game, just whatever baseball game, that was really cool. I remember just playing against having my Cincinnati Reds just play whomever, and I just watched it. I didn't even play. I just like watched it. I'm like, oh my god, I can watch baseball whenever I want. Yeah, I really didn't get into that one that much. But the other big game we rented, I remember, it's Splashdown. So it's this Sea-Doo racing game. So like the little, electric water boats or whatever, if you don't know what a Sea-Doo is. I didn't when I picked up the game. And Splashdown was huge for me because it was, first off, it was kind of open world a little bit, and that you could go off the track and there were a bunch of secrets. There's this giant whale that would kill you if you went off the track. It was really funny, but you could play around it. You could kind of play around the AI of that whale, and you could kind of get out of bounds, and that was just really fun. Did that for hours on end. Another thing is that game had a lot of pop punk on it. That's right. We're mentioning pop punk in an Xbox video. And Sum 41, Blink 182. And that really got me into that genre, just playing that game for hours on end. All of these songs would loop on, its little custom radio that it had. And I just listened to all of them all day. It was truly a great time. And my sister played that game with me a lot as well. And we found just about every secret you could find in that game. And it's funny because, Splashdown is this racing game, but that's not how I played it. I just like explored the levels. I never cared about racing in Splashdown. I always just was going around the levels, picking up, whatever I could find and the out of bounds. I guess in a way that was kind of like my Minecraft, like just the exploration aspect of it and stuff. Very limited exploration, but still exploration nonetheless. So I mean, once the renting was over, I got another hobby out of the Xbox, and that was retro gaming. So, I played the consoles as they came out. I played my older brother's NES. NES Classic is awesome, by the way. I'll just throw that in there. But, I played a lot of retro games. But it wasn't really until the Xbox where I, like, got into them. And the first game I got that really got me into retro gaming was Midway Arcade Treasures, the first volume. It had a lot of classics on there. Smash TV, Gauntlet, Rampage. I'm trying to think of like the ones I really like to play. I think I really liked Smash TV because of all the blood and gore and stuff, and I liked Robotron because it was like Smash TV but sci-fi, and I liked all the rainbow colors and stuff, really psychedelic or whatever. But getting into retro gaming through my Xbox, isn't that a treat? Isn't that interesting? Just getting in the old school arcade experience. And the other thing about that specific release, that specific Midway release, was that it had like developer commentary and trivia on it too, which I really liked. I mean, I didn't want to be a game developer back then. I really didn't know how games were made and didn't really think that could be a path for me. But I did really appreciate seeing how games were actually made and concepted and developed and all that. And later I would go on to pick up a Atari Anthology, which was really fun because that's kind of what my dad bought. Not for him, but for his son way back in the 70s. And, playing some of those games, showing him. That was a lot of fun. I really, really like Yar's Revenge. My Xbox Avatar now actually has a little Yar ring that I don't even think you can buy now that I really like. I really was happy to pick that up. And the other one was Sonic Mega Collection Plus. This was what got me into Sonic. Like, you can see my Sonic, I think, to my left here, or actually to my right. But yeah, you know what game got me into Sonic? Sonic Mega Collection Plus. That game was tops. Easy got all the Genesis games, plus so many, plus most of the Game Gear ones, plus other ones like Rise Star and Comic Zone, two Genesis games which I like very much. And my Sega Chill editions, that, I modded games to help people with disabilities play games. Well, thanks to Sonic Mega Collection Plus, that probably gave me the motivation and drive to seek out all the Sega stuff I've had. I mean, that game made me a Sega fan and a Genesis fan and a Sonic fan. I owe so much of that game disc. Sonic Mega Collection Plus. I will always champion that game. That's still honestly my preferred way to play Sonic. I know it's not the best. I mean, I have it on the original Genesis, but that collection is just so nostalgic. That's the way I played Sonic initially. But I mean, I have, I think, 20 releases of the first Sonic now, including the Game Boy Advance release, which, don't touch that one. Just do yourself a favor. Don't touch that one. But we get into here, so around the time I got Sonic Mega Collection Plus, I I had to undergo a major surgery for my back. Now it wasn't sudden, but I had scoliosis, which was cured with the surgery, 12-hour surgery. Got a titanium rod in my back, but the recovery was long and hard, so long. I mean, I can't tell you, like over 2 months, I think. It was insane. And I'm, usually a healthy guy. But I mean anyone after a 12-hour surgery, especially as big as like a back surgery, and coupled with the fact that I was a kid, it took a long time to recover. So what did I do? After I went home, 3 weeks later from the hospital, I played games, and the Xbox was really what got me through that time, a very difficult time indeed. And the game, so there was like a singular game that got me through that time, and that was Soul Calibur 2. This game, I can't even begin to tell you how much I love this game. This, I don't know it competitively. I know a few characters are kind of broken, but I have to say it probably is my favorite fighting game if I look at all it's done for me. So while I was recovering, I played Soul Calibur 2 for a minimum of 8 hours a day. And I'm not joking, that's not an exaggeration. And that's what I believe is in-game time. Like, if you looked at my time every day, it would at least increment in 8 hours. I swear I probably hit 12 hours some of those days. I played so much of the Weapon Master single player mode, so much training mode, and so much arcade mode. It was wild. I unlocked all of the characters. I got all of their little weapons, like all the weapons that just were way worse than the base weapon, but you can unlock them anyways. Unlocked everything in that game. And the biggest thing was, I got good at video games. I got really good at Soul Calibur, and by extent, fighting games. Going in, I mean, it was kind of a crapshoot who would win Soul Calibur between my siblings and I. After playing it, for 12 hours a day, I could perfect my friends, my family, anyone with just about any character. I mean, I've never had this before. This was new to me, like just being straight up amazing at a game. Like, I've never felt that way about any game or anything before, but I was just able to wreck everything. And my main was Spawn, who was actually an Xbox exclusive, which I knew because I initially played Soul Calibur 2 on a GameCube, which had Link, and I was initially disappointed, Link wasn't in the game, but later on I realized Spawn's a very good trade-off. Spawn was a lot of fun to play, and I also played Nightmare and Voldo. And Voldo is kind of the one I actually kept throughout the series because obviously Spawn never could come back, but Voldo could. And Nightmare, I mean, he just kind of got too integrated with the plot. I kind of like Voldo for how weird he was. But back then, Spawn was definitely the guy I played. But yeah, that really, I mean, going back to that difficult time in my life, it's just, man, that game helped me so much. And just mentally, too. Like, I remember, I think it was Keelik, the dude with the long bow staff, kind of like Donatello. His combos, some of them were really tough to do in training. I remember thinking, like, I can never pull any of this off. But then, little by little, I could do his combos, and then I could consistently get out, all of his insane combos. And that just blew my mind. That whole game, that whole experience with Soul Calibur 2, thanks to my Xbox. I really wish I had a chance to play that online. Although now I know it's on the 360, I kind of missed that release, but if it goes on sale or if there's a community, I'm probably gonna pick it up because I really want to see A, if I'm still good at the game, and B, just how I stack up online. I'm really curious about that. But like, where do we go from here? Where do we go from Soul Calibur 2? Well, that game was released kind of late. Or I got that. Sorry, it wasn't released kind of late. I got the game kind of late into the Xbox's life cycle. And that was late 2004, and the 360 came out in 2005. So I think the last Xbox game I really played, unfortunately, was Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, what a game to end on, right? But I mean, for the time as a tween, I guess it was kind of cool. This edgy Sonic game kind of appealed to me a little bit. I genuinely do think the branching story paths in that game are cool. The gameplay, the actual story, a lot of the things in the game don't back it up, but I think the branching story paths, it gave it a lot of replayability, so I really like that game. But that was really kind of it for me, at least during its era. And what an era that was. We actually did have all three major gaming consoles in the house. And I have to say, the Xbox was my favorite. I probably put the most time into the GameCube, actually, just because my friends preferred Mario Kart, Melee. I couldn't get my friends to play Soul Calibur 2 once I was kicking their ass, you know what I mean? Or whatever. I mean, and they also could kick my ass at Mario Kart. So it's kind of, you know, it wasn't my most played multiplayer system, but definitely my most played single player system. And I mean, I played a lot of FPS games on there too, like Time Splitters, Medal of Honor, all of that. But generations move on, and so when deciding what to get next, I actually decided to get the Wii because of Zelda Twilight Princess, which I know I had a GameCube, but for some reason, this isn't a Nintendo video, so I won't get into it. For some reason, I really wanted the Wii version of Twilight Princess, and the Wii just overall burned me hard. I could barely play any game on it because of the required mission controls. That's just not how I play games. I didn't understand that. but I shouldn't have picked it. But a few years went on, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a 360. I made a big mistake, but let's correct that mistake. And by the way, just to clarify, I think the Wii library is fine. Okay, I put lots of time into like Brawl and stuff. I just couldn't play it, mini games on it. That was my big issue there. But I finally got a 360, and I got it right when Gears of War 2 came out. And that game, that was really my first online gaming experience. Like, legitimately. Like, I played Diablo 2, back on the PC. Just, I wasn't good at it, but I played it. But Gears of War 2, that was like the first game I played with pretty much everyone in high school. It did take me that long to actually get a 360. And, had a blast. Had a blast playing with people. The funny thing is, I bought the 360 for Halo 3, and I honestly, I played some of it. I dropped it super fast to play Gears 2 because I was good at it. The slower paced gameplay actually really helped me out. Like the fact that you kind of had to plan what you were doing a little bit. Because I mainly played Execution, which I know Team Deathmatch is all the rage now. But back then, each round you only got one life. I really liked that. That was a game mode that really resonated with me. So I was able to get pretty good at the game. I also really like that wingman mode. I don't even know if that's in the games anymore, but it was like 5 teams of 2, and I used to invite my friend over, and you could actually like play online. 2 people on one console playing that mode online. Extremely fun, and of course Horde was awesome. And that's kind of where I was early on with the 360. But, my retro gaming kit came back while I owned the console, and I picked up Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. So, Sonic Mega Collection Plus started me on retro gaming. Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection got me into collecting retro games. Like, this is the game that made me say, I am buying a Sega Dreamcast. I am buying a Sega Genesis. I'm buying until I get over 30 game consoles in my room. That game, man, what did I even like on that game? What did I play? I think I really gelled with like the Shinobi and the Streets of Rage games, and there were a few others on there. Obviously the Sonics and Rystar and stuff I used to play, but that game was just so much value, and I loved it. And looking into like more games, like is I wanted to get more experiences like that. And what I found was shmups, or so shoot 'em ups, or like space shooters. Or I wish this genre had a game. Danmaku, there's another name for it. But like the hardcore space shooters. The Xbox was amazing for this. I don't hear anyone talking about this aspect of the 360, but like the shooters on there were so many. Like Mishihime-sama, the first game I ever imported. Mishihime-sama Futari version 1.5. I have a video on it. Probably made close to when I actually got the game. So if you want to check that out, well, it's in my backlog. But yeah, I got that game. I got Ikaruga. I got Radiant Silvergun. Trouble Witches Neo, Death Smiles. All of these games, all of these Japanese shooters on the 360 exclusively for a while until Steam came out. Ikarugo's on other stuff, affordably on the 360. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. Okay? Oh man, shmups were just. I got into scoring and I got into like leaderboards and a bunch of stuff I never really cared about in gaming before. It was intense, and I was hearing people, with the other 2 consoles, like, oh, the Xbox doesn't have any Japanese games, and oh, they don't, we have all the good Wii games or whatever. Like, no way, man. Radiant Silvergun is just better than anything you have or will ever hope to have. And I guess if I can sneak in one backwards compatibility request in here, Radiant Silvergun. You gave me Guardian Heroes, you gave me Ikaruga, Radiant Silvergun. Let's complete the little triangle. And you can like stick Bangayo in there too, if you'd like. But shmups were just. I got super into it. I got super into scoring. I actually cared about the controls and the input devices I used to play games, thanks to that. Thanks to that experience. And of course, I got into fighting games too online. But I never really found anything that I liked as much as Soul Calibur 2. I didn't really like Soul Calibur 4 or 3. I picked that up on the PS2 and in between. I didn't really like either of those. Wasn't crazy about 5. So, what did I play online? I mean, fighting game wise, I think I played everything but never really stuck with anything. I couldn't find that game that really clicked with me. Nothing, and I'm still struggling with that today actually. Like just the game that really clicks with me, like back then with Soul Calibur 2. I really would like that feeling again. And, but I still had a lot of good fights, a lot of good times playing fighting games with friends and stuff online. Wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. It's just that I was never great at any of them because I never put that time into any of them because I didn't feel like they were worth it in comparison to the Soul Calibur 2. My favorite probably was Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. There we go. But the community died so fast for that game. And I mean, I didn't help, I guess. I probably moved on too. But that was probably one of my favorites. That and Virtual On. I love the style of Virtual On. There's actually Virtual On 2, the Ontario Tanagram one, or whatever, Tanagram. I'm not even going to try to remember its name. But yeah, I actually was really good at that one as well. So those were like the two fighting games I get into. They both died really quickly. But still, I had some good times. So from here, we move on to commentaries. So why did I start YouTube? What really took my YouTube off? Xbox commentaries, Call of Duty, Halo, I think, Gears of War, really Call of Duty, just making tons of videos on Call of Duty. And that I met so many great people doing that. So many friends, so many good times, so many people just to game with. And I was always better at Gears of War than Call of Duty. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that I was never that great at Call of Duty, but it was just so fun to play with people I knew. I never cared about my KD. I never cared about my score. Nothing like that. As, as long as I was having a good time, I was good. And commentaries were just my outlet, especially in high school, a difficult time for me. I just loved to sit down and make videos and talk about games with people. It was really cool to be a part of a community. And the 360 gave that to me. The Wii never really had any game that could foster that kind of community. I mean, I don't remember any Mario Kart Wii commentaries back then, you know what I'm saying? So just, man, it was just a good time overall to do these commentaries and to show a lot of people how I play video games with my feet. Like that was really cool to get out there and show people like, yes, I can play video games and yes, I can be good at them as well. It was really cool to see people get inspired and happy with that. And just overall, that was a really good time in my life. I mean, I keep on thinking, should I come back and do this or what should I do exactly? I'm trying to break into the game industry right now, but it's not been going so well. So, should I fall back on commentary? Should I stream? This and that. I don't know. What I do know is back then, that was how I had my fun. That was really the most fun I've had in high school. And that's thanks to Xbox, thanks to Xbox Live, thanks to Call of Duty, thanks to my amazing friends and teammates in game. That was perfect. I loved playing video games online with my Xbox. And that's really the 360 era, right? Commentaries, discovering shmups, retro games, fighting games, online gaming in general. That's really the 360. So how about that Xbox One? I remember when the Xbox One was announced, and I was pretty excited for it, right? Loved Xbox One, all of this. But then I remember it was also announced with a Kinect, and I'm like, I don't want to pay for a Kinect. I mean, I know like the voice recognition, that would help me a little bit, but I'm like, I don't want to pay an extra, an extra charge for something I'm probably never going to use in a game. Just, navigate menus, which I'm fine with using a controller for. So, like, the Xbox One, I initially held off on it. The other part of that is I was in college, I was studying a lot, and I had a Wii U because the Wii U came out a year prior. I wasn't playing it. Outside of playing Nintendo Land for the first 4 months that system was out, I hardly played it. I really didn't play anything I had for it. So I held off on a one for a while. And I finally got one, and it's been pretty great. The integration with Windows 10 has been really nice because I can sit at my PC and play Xbox One or play 360 backwards compatibility, which is actually what I've been hitting pretty hard at the moment with stuff like Guardian Heroes that just hit it. And I mean, I just really like the integration with PC gaming because that is my future. My future really is, at least for hardcore gaming, PC is keyboard and mouse is just the input of choice. I'm always going to be better at Call of Duty with keyboard and mouse than I will be with a controller. That's just always going to be the case. But if I can still play some Xbox exclusives, still be a part of that community and all that, by streaming the Xbox One to my PC, that's actually how I caught that trigger hard Excelsior footage video back. I'm fine. I mean, that's perfect. That's better than what the other consoles offer me. And I think the future is going to be pretty great if they continue to support Windows 10 like they have been. It was a little sketchy at first, but Gears of War 4 is amazing on Windows 10. And, I can't wait for the future. And, man, just what a time with Xbox in 15 years. I've loved it. I mean, my room is green, not really because of the Xbox, but I can say it's Xbox green today. This is the 15 years of Xbox, so yeah, Xbox green. But seriously, I've just had a blast playing Xbox and hyping up all the games and reading all of the, magazines and stuff like that. Never even touched on like getting demo discs from the old Xbox magazines and stuff like that. And the community and all of that, just the whole experience of the Xbox. I think out of the three platforms, I think there's a lot of debate. There always will be in the console wars. And the Xbox won one thing from the debate. If I can say one thing they have always done the best, it's community. It's playing with people. It's leaderboards. It's Xbox Live. It's chasing high scores. It's stuff like that. It's achievements because, they had those first. It's all of that. It's the community integration that I think Xbox has always been the best at. And even now, I mean, I would still say their community features are still better than anything else out there. But you know what? Overall, I'm just excited for the future. What will happen in 5 years, 10 years? What will the Scorpio really be? What will it do for console gaming? All of this I'm pumped for. I guess that's where I'll end it, the future. What is the future of the Xbox? I'm not sure. But you know what? I'll be there. I'll be there with you, no matter what. So thanks a lot for all the games. If I sounded a little odd during this video, I'm kind of sick. Also, this was a lot of talking. Doesn't really go well. But I really did appreciate making this video on the 15 years, and I can't wait to see what's next from Xbox. So this is my 15 years video. I shouldn't have gotten everything out that I would have put in like a million tweets. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys later. This is Only Me Feet saying, look ma, no hands. Later.